Okay, Bismillah. Okay, so just carrying on from where we left off just there before. So I've got 5 questions to answer for you. I may have answered some before, but we'll just go through everything anyway. So, is zakat on all wealth? So let's start there. So zakat is actually only on growing wealth. It's what we consider growing wealth. So there's 4 different kinds. We'll go into that in a moment. But essentially, it's designed to minimize the burden. It shouldn't feel like a burden. A good analogy is I had my haircut yesterday. So, for example, you know that you're going to get more hair. Those of us that's blessed with hair, alhamdulillah. You know that you're going to get more. So when you have a haircut, it doesn't hurt so much. You don't really feel the burden because you know it's going to grow back. So it's similar with wealth as well. So anything that feels like that, that's not so much of a burden that you know you're going to get back. That's usually what's counted as zakatable. So I'll give you 3 examples. So the traditional economies we've had. So for example, animal herding, I started at the beginning. Farmers, things like that, that counts as sheep, goats, etc. You've got agriculture, so that would be grains, for example. And then you have trade and services. And ours is a goods and services economy. So essentially, the idea that we're trying to do is everyone works to grow the medium of exchange, which is the currency. That's basically how it works. So that's the type of economy we have. And so that's why it's money, gold, silver, and trade stock, essentially. We'll call these zakatable wealth. They have to be based on one of these 4 to be zakatable, even if it's modern day. So for example, crypto, we actually accept zakat in crypto. So we're a bit ahead of the curve there. Most don't do that currently, but I'm sure it'll be recognized at some point. But even that's considered a medium of exchange and growing wealth as well. So because it's an investment. So just something to bear in mind. So as we will go into the future, it's kind of future-proofed in that way. Okay, second, what amount must you own to have to pay it? So this is called the nisab threshold. It's based upon a certain number of grams of gold or silver. I always get the actual number wrong, so I won't quote it, but it's over 600 grams in silver and I believe about 48 grams in gold, but I won't give you the exact idea. On our website, I can give you anyone who's interested a link afterwards or post it in the group chat. There's actually on our website the daily nisab rate that goes up and down because we've converted it from gold and silver to modern day currency, so whatever it would be worth. So the nisab rate is essentially so currently, let's see, where are we? It's about 4,800 in gold, and silver is about 380 or 480, I believe. So there's quite a difference between them. Now, which one do you use? It actually depends on which one is best for the poor. So the scholars traditionally, a lot of them may have considered silver because it's a lower threshold, therefore more people would be eligible to pay it. And so that way there'd be more going to those in need. But if someone finds that it depends where you live, if someone finds that it's actually a bit too much or not enough for them to be able to live off themselves in a particular circumstance, then they go with the gold one. But NZF, we use the silver one for the reason I mentioned. And then everyone knows about assets minus liabilities, but that's how the calculation is done. It's your assets minus your liabilities and what's left. So it's not just, oh, let me look at my account balance now. Let me add up my bonds. Let me add up my stocks and shares, etc. It's let me actually look at everything, take off the costs that are due. I'll get into how much later, and then it's the remaining amount that has to be above or below the threshold, essentially. So just so that makes more sense. Okay, third one. When do you pay zakah? Okay, let me get. Does anyone have a guess when we pay zakah? Has anyone got an answer to this already? Good, good, good. Exactly. So that's exactly how people treat it. But excellent. A lot of people think it's just Ramadan. Oh, sorry, I don't fall down. Yes.
Can you do the zakat over like monthly direct debit?
Yes, I'll get into that in a second. Yes, that's an option. So yeah, exactly. You can do it at any time, but the actual time when it becomes due is due once a lunar year. So you have a rate. This is to enable growth basically and allow you to calculate it easily. So it's just whatever's due on that one day. So you don't have to count it up and down throughout the year. It's just on that one day. So the movement of the moon basically brings us into harmony with like a natural sort of cycle essentially, and that's what we're following by following the months. And so that's why it makes sense to match that what we do spiritually with the actual physical calculation. So there is nothing to stop you from also figuring out the solar calendar because that's easier. Everyone does that for work as well. So there is understandings where you can look at that. What I did personally was, so you look at when you first go above the nisab rate. So for me, that was 2018 when I first got paid. So that was the 15th of the month. I put it into a converter. They're online, they're really easy to do. So it came out to about the 20th of Rajab. So that's now my Zakat date. Now, like the sister was mentioning, a lot of people tend to pay it in Ramadan anyway because you do get extra reward. And so that's why most charities, they'll knock on your door, they'll send letters, they'll send emails, they'll send everything suddenly in that 1 month. Whereas actually traditionally it's always been in need all the time because people are always in need. They're not suddenly in need for the 30 days when we want to give and then not again. Obviously you have sadaqah for that nowadays as well, but zakah, there used to be zakah collectors in Medina. They would go around and collect when they could. So that was always at all different times, because there's a different time when you go above the nisab rate, and the zakah is due on you like 1 year from then. So let's have a look. Yeah, if you don't know your date, just guess it. That's fine, and you can pick one arbitrarily, like you say. So it can be any time if you really can't. But we suggest you make an effort to try it yourself, because it only takes one time, and after that you can just check that date. Okay, so two left. One last one. So the fourth one is, does zakah time out? No, it's a right that's due. So it's someone else's wealth. So if someone else has missed off one from the past, then they have to back calculate. But if your zakat date's coming up this year, for example, don't worry about that. Just do this once. Start doing some locally, some internationally, however you want to split it, and then work out how to back calculate it later on. We've actually, on our website again, we've got historical nisab rates as well, because obviously the currency rises with inflation, so things get more expensive. So we can help you back calculate it on the website. If you just put in a date that you're looking at when your zakat date was last year, it'll tell you how much it was then, in case there's a difference. And then the last one, can any payment count as zakah? So this is where we're following the Hanafi fiqh, which is the strictest one. Most people here probably follow that anyway. Anyone who doesn't, it's a bit more of a degree of flexibility with all the others. But because ours is this one's the strictest, it covers all the others anyway. You're safe. So zakat must be intended as such. So the same as when you intend to pray, you just think, okay, I'm going to pray now. Then that's even in your mind, that's enough to count as an intention. It's the same thing for zakah. So you wouldn't just give a sum, think it's sadaqah, and then later on say, oh no, actually that was zakah. So it has to be at the time that you intend it. So either when calculating, setting aside, giving it to an agent, if you have someone who has to do like wealth management or something, it depends on what you have. And someone else can pay for you. So in the family, for example, as long as you approve it, as long as you say, yeah, that's fine, then for example, my dad could pay it on my behalf if he knew what the amounts were.